One of the most common reasons, or rather the most common reason for application refusal, rejection, if you want to call it, is the police clearance certificates. Invariably, people submit PCCs which are not as per the requirement of IRCC and therefore get their applications rejected. In today's video, our discussion is going to be about this commonly plaguing issue. Stick around for more. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This channel is all about the Canadian immigration application processes, news and program updates. My name is Kubeir and I am an ICCRC licensed Canadian immigration consultant. And in this channel and all our social media platforms, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I provide you with the tips and tools on managing and handling your own immigration application. So if you're here for the first time and thinking Canada, then do consider subscribing. And don't forget to click on the bell icon to receive the notifications when I upload a new video. Now, on to today's topic about the police clearance certificates and what pitfalls you should avoid. Well, what is a police clearance certificate? A police certificate is a statement that you don't have a criminal record, or if you have one, then a copy of your criminal record. Of course, if you do have one, then you will also need to provide more details about your offense. And police clearance certificates are different in each country and they vary from one country to another country. They can be called criminal record check, good conduct certificates, judicial record extracts, etc. IRCC needs your PCC to check for inadmissibility for you and your family members under the criminality factor. These checks are usually done after they have recorded your biometrics, which follows the R10 completeness check, and once your medicals are cleared. You and any family member 18 or older will need to get the police certificate depending on the program you are applying to. In most cases, you are required to provide this document upfront when submitting your PR application, though it's not usually required for a study, work or visit visa application. IRCC can always request for one if needed. One reason why police clearances are absolutely refused is that if you have not scanned them in color. So always provide a scanned color copy of your police clearance. Some police clearances are in black and white or grayscale, like the FBI PCC. So that's fine. You can use the soft copy. You don't really need to scan again. The Indian police clearance is also in black and white, but the seal and the stamp is blue in color usually, and the signatures that have been signed by the authority are usually in green color. Provide PCC from all the countries where you have resided for 6 months or more in a row. You must apply and obtain the PCC after your last visit to that country. So if it's not your country of residence, apply for the PCC from outside that country, and the PCC will remain valid until your next return to that country. It's very important. Please make a note of that. PCC must also cover the entire duration of your stay in that country. So for example, if you're visiting a country, you go and apply for a PCC, and then after a few days you receive the PCC and then you leave that country. This PCC will not be considered as valid because it does not cover the entire duration of your stay. So you applied for the PCC and you continue to stay in that country. So that duration has not been covered by that PCC, and therefore it will not be considered as acceptable. Usually this PCC has to be applied from the central agency which has been indicated on the CIC website. It is usually valid from the 6 months from the date of their issue, unless a shorter validity is stated on the PCCs. Some do indicate a shorter validity. If the validity has been stated for a shorter duration, then obviously consider that. And this PCC is from the country of current residence. So in whichever country that you do reside in, when you obtain the PCC from that country, this country's PCC will remain valid for 6 months, unless, as I just said, that if there is a shorter duration which is mentioned. For police clearance from the country which is not your country of residence, apply from outside that country, as I just said, and it remains valid until your next visit to that country. For some PCC, there is a requirement to obtain a request letter from IRCC. You cannot simply go and apply for a PCC. In such cases, upload a document in your application which says that you require a PCC, or rather you require a letter from IRCC to obtain your police clearance, and IRCC will send that to you later on. Due to COVID, if you're facing any delays in obtaining your police clearance, then go ahead and submit your application and upload a document that clearly states that you were unable to obtain the police clearance in time due to COVID, but also do provide the documents or proof that you have applied for this police clearance. Now let's talk about specific requirements for some of the common countries that we have come across. Let's take Canada to start with. Now for Canada, you do not require a police clearance upfront. So if you've been living in Canada for 6 months or more, then you do not need a police clearance upfront. If IRCC needs it, they will ask for it specifically. At that point of time, you need to contact RCMP, which is Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or any accredited third-party agencies and obtain a criminal record check with fingerprints. Very important. For India, obtain from any PSK or Passport Seva Kendra. You need it from your nearest Passport Seva Kendra. Go to any of them, make an appointment, whichever is closest to you. Obviously, you will need to provide proof of residence or other documents that have been listed on their website. So check their website, see what documents they need. So you do not need a different PCC from different cities that you've been living in. One police clearance is enough. If you live in Canada or any other country, then obtain a police clearance from the embassy. Now, there may be a requirement for you to update your marital status or your current address in your passport before your PCC can be issued. So do check with the local authorities or the PSK or the embassy before you are going to apply for PCC so that you know what to expect. All this will cause additional time duration in processing your police clearance. So do take that into account. You can also apply for the police clearance at the local district police station in India. Remember, it must be a police clearance certificate and not a character certificate. Those are not accepted and that will land your application to be rejected. Some PCCs have limitations relating to the jurisdiction and time period. And so if any police clearance certificate is going to mention that, then again, those will not be accepted. Therefore, it's always a safe bet to apply from Passport Seva Kendra. That will always get you by. Next, another very popular country that we deal with the questions from, and that is Pakistan. For Pakistan, it is strongly recommended to obtain the police clearance from each city or district where you have resided for 6 months or more in a row. And the PCC, very important, should cover your entire duration of that stay in that district, because police clearances are issued separately for different cities and different districts. So sometimes you might miss out on some days between one police clearance and another that you might obtain. And if you are not able to cover the entire duration of your stay in Pakistan or in any of these places, then your application will be refused. Now, while you may apply for police clearance from the embassy, from Pakistan embassy, if you're not in the country at that point of time, your relatives, friends, or even a third-party agencies, like I remember something called Mamus or Chachus kind of a thing, they can also help you to obtain your PCC. I'm not affiliated with them, I'm just letting you know because we've heard a lot about them. Well, the next on my list of these countries that we're talking about is Australia. That's another country where we have seen a lot of refusals and rejections because of the PCC not being right. So the requirement is to obtain the PCC from Australian National Police. So you need to get an Australian National Police certificate. It has to be a standard disclosure name check only. Please keep that in mind. It should not be the complete disclosure certificate. This will get your application refused. Further, if you are a resident of Queensland and or Victoria, then make sure you obtain the traffic history if you are a resident of Queensland and the full license history search if you are a resident of Victoria. In my recommendation, my suggestion, even if you did not reside in Queensland or Victoria, I would strongly recommend that you get a no driving record letter from the Queensland Transport Department or Vic Records, because how do you prove that you did not reside in these states? You can apply for these driving records online, so you shouldn't have a problem getting one. Well, the next country I'm going to talk to you about is England or United Kingdom. Well, if you have lived in the UK and received a caution, then the police clearance is going to state no live traces. This basically implies that ACRO have a file with more details that do not show up on the PCC. Now, this is obviously going to be some trouble. This situation needs to be resolved with ACRO, and you will need to provide additional disclosure. What you are looking for is no trace. That's what you want to see on the PCC, and that's what will be the most ideal situation. Next, I'm going to talk to you about is New Zealand. You need the criminal record check from New Zealand Ministry of Justice. Request for your own criminal conviction with full record of convictions. That should work. It's not really complicated, quite simple. For Brazil, next on my list is Brazil. So for Brazil PCC, the Brazilian state certificates are not accepted. Please keep in mind, only the national certificates issued by the Brazilian Federal Police are accepted. So you have to be very careful with who you are submitting your application to and who you are obtaining your PCC from. Very important. Another common one that we get asked for about is Saudi Arabia. So if you are asked to provide a police clearance from KSA, then you should contact the IRCC Riyadh office by completing a specific web form which is directed to Riyadh, and include your file number and copy of your AOR and have the IRCC office send you a request letter. Once you get that, then using that letter you will be able to apply for your police clearance. If you do not have a current legal residence in Saudi Arabia, I mean, if you are not a Saudi and if you are no longer residing in Saudi Arabia, then you do not require a police certificate. And if you are asked for a police certificate from Saudi Arabia, then simply write, I cannot provide a police certificate for this time spent in Saudi Arabia, because certificates are only available to people who have current legal residence status. So just write this down on plain paper and upload this document to your application. You know, obtaining a police clearance from some countries can be a real pain, and therefore you may want to start on the application processing early. Well, the sooner you start, the better you're going to be on the process. But keep in mind the validity period if it's your country of residence. The best thing to do is always check the CIC websites for any updates or change in requirements before applying for your PCC, and then follow those requirements to the T. Considering that this is the most common reason for application refusal, you do not want to take a chance with this one. Well, that's all from me today. Like and share if you think this was of any value to you, because there are a lot of people out there who get confused with this requirement. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. So until next time, stay forever hopeful